Hello and welcome to a brand new opposition preview video. I am D and today I am joined by Ben from WeAreTottenhamTV to look ahead to Palace's final game of the season against Tottenham on Sunday. Thank you for joining me, Ben. It's been
Thanks for
a
having
weird
me.
season for it's been a weird season for you guys as well in terms of managers. Pochettino went earlier on in the season. You're right now competing to be in the top six. Unfortunately, you couldn't get to top four. You have Mourhino there. How has Mourhino been for you so far, and do you see him being a success there in the long term?
I mean, it was very mixed reactions when he first came in. Obviously, with his Chelsea links and the links to the bad football, a lot of Man U fans were unhappy with him when his time at Old Trafford. But when you actually look at it, I thought he did a good job at Man United, finishing second that year, winning a few trophies along the way, Europa League and League Cup. His style of football, when you compare it to Pochettino's, has a lot to be desired for. But also, when you look at it, we had 5 great years under Pochettino playing some sublime football, but ultimately we won absolutely nothing under Pochettino. So I think since Jose Mourinho's come, his first brief was to fix the defence. I think he's done that now. I think since lockdown, you can see that we're a very hard team to score against now. I think if you put that Sheffield United game aside, we've only conceded 2 kind of big long range shots from 30 yards against Arsenal and against Newcastle, and a penalty against Man United. So I think it's clear to everyone to see we're very hard to score against at the moment. And now, last 3 games, we've started to put together a few good attacking performances. We've started to score some goals, which we hadn't seen before the break. And even when we came back from the break, the game against Bournemouth, not having 1 shot on target the whole game, absolute disgrace. But it seems as though things are starting to come together now. I've put my complete faith in Jose Mourhino now, and I'm very happy with him at the helm. And I can see what he's trying to do, and I think things are starting to come together. And I'm very excited for next season now, as I wasn't probably about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's so funny. He puts a smile on my face because I'm just thinking about the weekend and we can't score goals and you don't concede any goals. And plus, we're leaking goals left, right, and centre, and you guys are firing goals. So I guess it'll be a brilliant game for Palace this to end the season. So after a long injury, Harry Kane is finally back. He scored against Leicester. Would you say he's up to speed?
Definitely. I think that performance he put in against Leicester was the best Harry Kane performance I've probably seen since 16-17 season. I mean, the guy he's really back at it. He's back to full fitness now. You can see he's fresh, he's sharp. It's taken him a while to get to this stage. I think when we first came back from football, he had 6 months out, and you could really see he was quite rusty, trying to get to grips with everything. He hardly had a touch of the ball the first couple of games, but now he scored 2 goals against Newcastle, 2 goals against Leicester. And if you guys are leaking goals, I would worry for Sunday, because Harry Kane is really back to his best.
Well, that's another great news for Palace fans. Now let's go to another player called Son, who absolutely destroys us every single time. We know he's a fantastic player, but is there any other players that Palace should watch out for that's a bit under the radar? We know Son always has a brilliant game against us. We just talked about Harry Kane, but is there anyone else, maybe midfield, maybe even in an attack, that Palace should watch out for that could be a surprise come Sunday?
Yeah, I would say Lucas Moura, because Lucas Moura, the last 3 or 4 games, he has literally been a player reborn. The guy is playing so well at the moment, I can't tell you. And it's not just his attacking intent. He wins the ball back in the middle of the park. He's so good on the ball dribbling. I mean, his effort and desire has never been one for anyone to question. But what's been questionable about Lucas Moura is his end product. So he can pick up the ball, he can win the ball, he can take it past a number of players. Everyone knows about his dribbling skills, but on a consistent level, his end product has always been a question mark. And that has really improved under Jose Mourinho. So I think he's one you've got to look out for. He's definitely one of our best players at the moment in current form. And as well as one as Giovanni Lo Celso, because he's the one that kind of knits that midfield to the attack. He's not playing at full fitness at the moment. He's going to need surgery at the end of the season, but he's playing at around 60-70% at the moment, but he's still playing very well. So, I mean, what a player we have in our hands with Giovanni Lo Celso. I just want to see him playing at full fitness. I really do.
Yeah, it seems like you got a great squad once they're full fit. Of course, Harry Kane, he's back, he's scoring goals, but he's just come back. And then also Lo Celso is not fully fit. Then next season it could be massive for you guys. But I just want to talk a bit about the managers right now. I want to have your perspective on Palace. So be honest with me. We talked about a pre-show. What do you think of Roy Hodgson at Palace and what he's done this season? And do you think in the long term he can be a success?
It's a difficult one. It really depends what you're going to do. I think the summer, I think you did really well in shoring up the defence. It's evident, clear to everyone to see how well your defence have performed this season. I mean, I think the one big thing where you've been lacking this season is Wilfried Zaha. I mean, he's been the one that's usually been the difference for Palace, but I don't think he's had a good season, or from what I've seen anyway. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is for that. Maybe he has one eye out the door. I don't know. But there's been a lot of rumours about him leaving year after year, and he's still at you. I think he really is the difference going forward for you lot. And if he has a bad season, then I think Palace might have a bad season as well. I don't actually feel that Palace have had a bad season. I know you've lost 7 on the bounce now, but before that, I actually considered Palace to be having not a bad season. But like, you said to me about how you can't score and you can't keep a clean sheet at the moment. But I think you've got a lot of players out in defence at the moment. And before that, your defence looked really good. In terms of Roy Hodgson, and do I think he's the man to lead Palace going forward? I think he is, to be honest, because I think that without the injuries, I think you wouldn't have been losing these last 7 games. I think you would have had a much stronger end to the season. And I think all in all, you've had a good season. I don't think you had any danger of really getting relegated this season. Mid-table, I think, is probably where your squad is at the moment. And I think with a few extra signings, you could probably push on to get a bit further than that. And I think, like I said before, your defence is there. I just think you need a few attacking additions, and then I think you might have a better season next year.
Tactically, Mourhino and Roy, it'll be a good encounter. Where do you see the game being won or lost on Sunday?
I really feel that our attack is going to be a bit too strong for your defence on the weekend, only because you've got so many injuries there. I think if you had your first choice defence playing on the weekend, then I think it would be a much tighter game, like it always is between us and you at Selhurst Park. We usually win by the odd goal. I think it was 1-0 to Spurs, I think 3 or 4 years running, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And most of those goals coming in the last 10 minutes. So it's usually a tight game. I was a bit worried when I saw Roy Hodgson kind of gather the whole team in the room after the game, and I think these kind of performances, I think when you lose 7 on the bounce and you play Tottenham next, I think it's always good for a team coming into it playing Tottenham. But I do think this Jose Mourinho side has a stronger backbone now. I think our defence, like I said, is looking on point. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you're going to play a lot better than you have done in the last 7 days, just because Roy Hodgson has really stuck it to your team. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we're going to win it by the odd goal. I think it's going to be won maybe by just the attacking quality we have.
Yeah. Are there any weaknesses in this Tottenham side? Of course, your defense is great. You're great going forward as well. But are there any maybe individuals that Palace could target in this game? Maybe the midfield. Yeah, we haven't really talked a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, the weakness is probably in midfield. We're probably going to play a midfield 2 of Harry Winks and Moussa Sissoko. Both of them are absolutely brilliant at winning the ball back in the middle of the park, but they just can't pass the ball, these two. I mean, they're really not great on the ball, but they're great at like ball retention and winning the ball back and just passing it on. But if you ask them to do any more than that, then it's probably not good. I mean, if you put them under a bit of pressure, then you can probably find a bit of success there. But when you look at our last 3 games and the form we're actually on, the weakness is that we're not showing that many weaknesses, to be honest. I think you're probably going to sit back a bit, we're going to sit back a bit, and we're both going to look for the gaps. I mean, which is probably going to lead to a very dull game, to be honest. I think, like I said, it's going to probably be won by the odd goal. Our counter-attacking players really second to none at the moment. We're taking our chances. Like I said, we are solid in the defence, but there are gaps there if you can exploit them. There really are. I think that's probably our main weakness is our fullbacks getting in behind Serge Aurier and Ben Davis. I think if Zaha's on form, Andros Townsend's on form, then you can really get in behind us from the fullbacks. Andros Townsend, he always tries his hardest against Spurs. He really wants to prove us wrong every time he plays against us. So I wouldn't put it past him and Zaha having a good game against us.
Yeah, Andros really hasn't had good games in the last few. He has struggled, so it would be good to end the season with a good performance against Tottenham. You mentioned the odd goal. You guys win by the odd goal, but let's have your lineup and your score predictions, your final score prediction for the game.
Well, it's funny. We've named the exact same lineup the last 3 games, and I don't ever remember that happening since Pochettino arrived at Tottenham. So I think it's going to be the exact same lineup again. So that lineup was Lloris in goal, Ben Davis left back, Serge Aurier right back, Davinson Sanchez, Toby Alderweireld in the middle, with Sissoko and Winks playing as a double pivot in the middle, with Giovanni Lo Celso, Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son playing just behind Harry Kane. I believe that we're going to kind of sit back, wait for the gaps, and hit you on the counter attack. Hopefully you'll look to score a few goals, and then that'll play into our hands. But you've got to be wary of us in the first 20 minutes. I think that's when we're going to look to play our football and get a goal early. If we don't get that goal, I think it could be a dull affair. And look, like I said, we'll look to exploit those gaps that you kind of bring.
Yeah, thank you for joining me, Ben.
Wait.
Oh yeah, score prediction. Yeah,
scoreline 1-0
yeah.
Spurs. 1-0 Spurs.
I was trying to avoid that. We had so many defeats. but thank you for joining me, Ben. He did manage to put in the score prediction there. Another defeat for Palace. 8 in a row now. That's what Ben's predicting, and I don't really blame him. I think 1-0 would be a good score at this point. I said last week against Wolves, 4-0 would be a good score, but we managed to lose 2-0. I'll take 2-0 Tottenham. Right now, there's
really?
nothing.
You take 2-0 Tottenham at home?
Yeah, because there's nothing going forward. I honestly, I'm not saying this because we lost 7 games in a row. If you watch Palace over the last 7 games, there's literally nothing. Wilfried Zaha, he's been, he's struggled. He's had the odd game or two, but the players are uninspired. The manager has said that we're just trying to get through these games. So if the players are not at it and the manager's not looking forward to these games, then why should I? There's nothing to encourage me to look forward to it. But yeah, I think 2-0 Tottenham would be an ideal score for Palace at this point. If we get a goal, that would be nice, but I just don't see it happening in this game.
I'll tell you one thing that you'll probably get going for you is that teams and strikers and players that haven't scored in a while always break their duck against Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing that happens against Palace. so it might even out. I don't know. You might see Harry Winks on score sheet or something random
maybe.
that.
Maybe.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you for joining me, Ben. Make sure to check out their channel and also leave down your score predictions in the comments down below and let us know what you think about the game. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Spurs.